Good morning, Wellspring. And good morning to those on Zoom. We'll be muting you shortly. And then after the service, we'll turn you back on. So, all righty. I'm so glad to see each and every one of you here. I greet you all. All of you are so precious, such wonderful folks. My name is Shirley Angel Love, in case you don't remember. We have a few opportunities for this coming week. And we have early birds every Sunday at 9:30 by way of Zoom, and some come into the fellowship hall. We also have some upcoming speakers, and so far on this list, it says that Shirley Angel Love is going to be speaking next week. So I hope you'll come. My intention is going to be about sharing life, and what we know is one of the attributes of God is life. And so when I was asked to speak, I thought, oh, good, well, I'll just say something about, let's just come and have a fireside chat. Well, here it is. And I don't think we'll be doing that. So maybe you can envision that you come and we're going to sit here on my front porch and talk. Okay. So Thursday evening group meets every Thursday at 7 p.m. on Zoom. And we have different audio, different speakers, well-known speakers that have a wonderful message for us, such as Bruce Lipton, Lisa Rankin, Dr. Mike McDowell, I guess it's just Dow, and Lynn McTaggart. There's the Mick. All right, and then the New Thought Ladies Luncheon will be Thursday, the 23rd at 11:30 at CSL. That's a wonderful time to get together with the 3 different New Thought fellowships. And then on March 26th, next Sunday, Wellspring invites you to participate in another remarkable free event starting at 2:30. Jose Martinez will lead us through his unique crystal bowl sound bath and chakra balancing guided meditation in his studio, and it's located behind the True Art of the Earth, directly across from the street from La Posta. So there is a sign-up sheet in the hall. And following the event, you know, our little Wellspring family likes to eat together. So afterwards, we will be going across the street and eating at La Posta. So that's just some of the little opportunities we have. And then also, our prayer team meets every Tuesday at 4:15. You can put in your prayer requests in the prayer box in the back, or you can put them on the website, or you can get in touch with Dr. Edward, and he'll put in the prayer request. This is when the three New Thought fellowships get together and they pray over your requests. And they also encourage you that at that time, if you put in a request, that you set aside that time to just sit and be quiet and join with them in praying with you. Not for you, but with you. All right. So at this time, we'll have an invocation. Precious Spirit, we greet you. We welcome you here today. We also know that you're already here. You're inside every one of us. And we give thanks. We give thanks for your presence and for all that you will be manifesting today through song, through the word, and through our very presence together. We release this word and know it's so, and so it is. And we'll read our vision, our mission, and our affirmation together. All right. Our vision: to elevate spiritual consciousness in our world. Our mission: to support individual spiritual quests through celebration, study, counsel, loving fellowship, and service. And our affirmation: spring comes reminding us that there is always renewal following the dormancy of winter. We give thanks for the understanding that nothing remains stagnant, spirit, and we are always growing and renewing it. And so it is. So now we're going to have special music. And we just thank you so much, Teresa, for being here. Yes, all is well. Your statements are always affirmations of the present, not for the future. Words are molds into which the creative substance of your consciousness flows. Words without meaning, while they may have some effect through constant repetition, cannot have the same effect that words with meaning have. Your words will have meaning in such a degree as you actually feel that they are the activity of the spirit within you. This is referring to when you pray or do a treatment for others, or even for yourself. This calls for faith and understanding, a complete conviction that God is right here, right where you are, and that the law of life is obeying your will. And so I found a definition for law, and that is the creative, obedient, informative power. So when we talk about that, we're talking about the creative power of your words, your thoughts. Words without this awareness have no power. Spiritual awareness is the healing agent loosed through your word. While it is true that thoughts are things, they are things in your experience only in such a degree as your inward consciousness pours the fire of conviction into the form of your intellectual affirmation. So we know that Spirit is adding to this word. And at this time, we'll have our own speaker, our beloved Dr. Edward.
Thank you, sir. Well, good morning. We have a filling house. This is wonderful. So nice to see all of you here. I know some of you are here to honor Flo, which we'll do after service. So this is fantastic. So today's talk, I'll just call it, how do we address problems? So when we're faced with a difficult decision or a situation, how might we address it from a more enlightened perspective? That's kind of but normally when we have a decision to make, we might pick a couple of 3 ways for doing that. Maybe we're a very logical person and we create what's called a T-chart. Some of you know this. You have a chart. On the left-hand side, you have all the in favors of, and on the right-hand chart, you have all the against, or the pros and the cons. Some of us may take a more intuitive approach. You know, what is our gut feeling about A or B? And then maybe some of us just wait for inspiration while we're taking a shower. And that works too, right? And all of these can work depending on your personality type, if you're logical or intuitive or whatever. But many times, even after we've made this decision, we feel a little uncertain about if it was the right decision. So let's talk about some ways of undergirding or wrapping our decision process with something that might supercharge our decision making and also help us to be more certain about our decisions. And I'm going to propose a 4-step process that doesn't take a great deal of time, but perhaps could bring about a little bit additional comfort in our outcome. And so the process is more about attitude than about a process, so to speak. But process, I'll say, is a 3D operation. You know, it operates in time and space. But I think attitude transcends time and space. So that's why I say it doesn't necessarily have to take a long time. And I'm going to use this by borrowing something from 4 topics in our weekly prayer list. You know, in our prayer list, we say, do you need help on health or finances or relationships? Maybe with employment, what have you. And 4 of those areas are what we call divine guidance, all good, peace of mind, and gratitude. So talking about divine guidance, usually we're asking for additional insight on something we're facing or a decision we're trying to make or something we're trying to solve or what have you. And it's kind of, you could phrase it as, I would like to somehow be inspired or led to the right action or the right decision. So we know what affirmative prayer works, and Shirley talked about a little bit of that. But it also has been explained that affirmative prayer is like creating a mental equivalent and then of what we want. So we put the blueprint out into the universe, and then we have the solution or the result coalesce in the physical. So we operate in the spiritual first, and then it's manifest in the physical. Well, this sounds good. And I'm not saying it's wrong, but sometimes I think it's maybe a little nebulous. And we don't even know what the mental equivalent of what we're trying to resolve looks like. So we're kind of puzzled by this, or stymied, or what have you. And it probably sounds kind of like this in our uncertainty. It would really help if I knew a good, and you fill in the blank with a name of assistant or assistants that you would like to use. It would really help if I knew a good attorney, or I knew a good what have you. So have you ever said these words to yourself? Like, I could make a better decision if. You know, I talked about expect amazing. And from time to time, we talk about how sometimes the Sunday morning service just fits together even without a great deal of coordination among all the players. So I pretty much knew what I was going to be speaking about today. And then someone had suggested about 2 weeks ago that I listen to a particular podcast. And I said, okay, well, that's like 2 hours long. I'll do it when I get time. And I was reminded Thursday night that, have you listened to that podcast? Or I've been asked. And I said, no, I hadn't, but I'll do it. I'll do it. You know where I'm going with this, right? So the podcast was an interview by Jean Slatter, who, among other things, she's the author of a book called Higher from the Heavens. What she suggests is the following. When faced with a challenge, personalize what you need. And I'm paraphrasing a little bit. If you were going to solve this problem, who and what skills would you need to help you? What advisors would you like on your clarity team? In this case, we're asking for clarity and divine guidance. Then you hire them from the spiritual realm. For example, if you have a difficult real estate situation, hire a spiritual real estate agent. Maybe you also need a spiritual lawyer. And while you're at it, get a spiritual banker and a spiritual tax specialist. Okay? And maybe you could add a few more to that. So if you're dealing with an estate or a trust problem, hire a spiritual trust attorney and a spiritual estate specialist. Maybe even a spiritual probate specialist. So perhaps you're dealing with an adoption situation. Hire a spiritual adoption specialist and any ancillary help you might need. Are you overwhelmed with clutter? Then hire a spiritual declutterer helper. So her method is that once you have your crew assembled, have a board meeting with them. Sometimes she even sets up chairs for them in her office. Call the meeting to order and state what you were here for, and then ask around the circle by name what it is that they could help you with, what suggestion they might have. And she says, listen to them and take notes on the meeting. So she's refined and tested her paradigm, and it really works. She says that one of three things usually happens. Number one is you are inspired. Number two is many times a human appears with just the skills you need. And then the third option, so to speak, is that a miracle occurs. Something just totally out of expectation shows up. But you can see how and why this works. And a couple of aspects of this makes it so effective that you've taken something that seems so huge and overwhelming, and you've parsed it out into topic areas and made it very specific and very personal to what you need. So rather than praying of the moon, so to speak, you have now done that. So then we ask, and I might say we almost declare or demand, maybe that's too harsh a word. We ask for help and we expect to get it from our assembled experts. Now, this is like we're talking about the law. You place it into the law and you know that the law operates. And just in our early birds, we were reading the topic today and it says, you don't have to have faith in electricity to know that when you go turn the switch on in the wall, the electricity is going to show up. Right? We don't have to have some deep faith that this is going to work, because as we place our word into the law has to operate. So moving on to the second, and this is all good. And what do we mean by all good? We might think of asking for all good to come of a situation. However, what we're really doing is affirming that the situation is all good, or that whatever transpires is all good. When we come from an attitude that we live in a loving, supportive universe, the universe is for us all the time. That naturally means that the universe is operating in our favor. Spirit or the divine, or whatever you want to call it, is always working toward our highest and best interest. So let's talk about all good for a moment. Now, we've spoken in the past about looking back on a situation that at the time seemed like the worst experience in our life. And now 5 years later, or 6 months later, or 20 years later, whatever, we look back and we say, that was actually one of the best things that ever happened to me, because now I can follow through what resulted from that horrible situation. So with that said, and assuming that that last situation is true, that as we've looked back at things, they have shown to be all good, maybe we can accept and have faith that what we are going through right now, even though it seems like rotten muck, might actually be, no, really is the best thing that has happened to us. We say you're a spiritual being having a human experience. This is often said, and we repeat it, but do we truly understand what it means? So let's think about that just a little bit further. You are a spiritual being who knows exactly what they were doing and how this will benefit them. Having an experience that we can get nowhere else in the universe, right here, right now. Oh, but you say, this experience is so hard and messy and inconvenient and difficult and not fun, and on and on and on, right? A few years ago, I was working at a company, and there were several of us doing similar jobs. I always seemed to get the complicated ones. And they, always took a little more investigation or work or what have you. It was not like I had to lift 50 pounds and everybody else only had to lift 20 pounds, but, it was more like desk work. But I just seemed like I was getting the tough stuff. So I said to the boss, how come I get all the tough jobs? And he said to me, and he sort of just right off the top of his, he said, well, because you can do them. Well, I say, what wisdom? And I had to agree with him. And I took it to heart. I never whined about my assignments again. So I'm going to borrow this next example from the book, the podcast by Gene Slatter. Just suppose you like to do jigsaw puzzles. As a matter of fact, you just finished doing a 4,000-piece jigsaw puzzle. It's gorgeous. You're going to put that fixer on it, and then you're going to hang it on the wall. It looks so nice, right? Now, I know that you like jigsaw puzzles, and I want to get you a gift. So I get you a jigsaw puzzle. It's got 100 pieces in it. Okay? What kind of present would that be? Well, it would be appreciated that you thought of me and you actually know that I like jigsaw puzzles, or, vice versa. But chances are, if you received it, you would probably donate it to, your local Boys and Girls Club or something like that. There wouldn't be any challenge in it, right? Now, let's say you're a skilled skier, black diamond, double black diamond all the way. That's the toughest if you're not a skier. Would you go to a ski area that had only green and blue ski runs? Those are the easiest. Of course not. What would be the challenge or fun in that? So imagine sitting around the lodge in the evening, having your hot chocolate and saying, man, what a day. I says, for the first morning or the morning, I was on the bunny slope all day. And then in the afternoon, I skied all the blues and all the greens. I didn't fall down once. You get the message, right? Big whoop. The point that I'm belaboring is that we came to this incarnation to have experiences, not mediocre experiences, but experiences that challenged us and thrilled us upon completion. Solving that 4,000-piece puzzle gave us a great deal of satisfaction. And I think every one of us is here today listening to this because we believe in what I just said. We incarnated to meet challenges because we wanted to. And we knew we could, even if it took a couple of tries. And our whole support system signed on to be with us through this entire thing. So in light of this, can you conceive, when faced by a challenging situation, that God was out to get you? No, not at all. Not only that, but we are more powerful than we believe most of the time. And our support system brings all good experiences into our life. We are godlings living in the midst of grace with an infinite cheering section. When we ask for all good in our prayer, we are asking to see the good in the situation because we know it is already all good. And moving on to peace of mind, we might ask for peace of mind because we want our mind to be at ease. And I think that peace of mind naturally flows out of the first two that we've discussed. Think of it this way. If this were a business situation and you had assembled and delegated your problem to the very best and most competent experts in the field, you've asked your teams to do research and return with a situation or their advice as to what you should do. And you know, because they're reliable, that they will do just that. Now, you can let it go until tomorrow morning's meeting and let it go, right? You're going to have the feeling and the belief that you can rest easy tonight because tomorrow morning your crew is going to bring the answer to you. So that's peace of mind. And lastly is the topic of gratitude. No prayer is complete without moving to a place of gratitude. Gratitude is a natural byproduct of the entire process, if you think about it. We feel grateful that through our process, we have arrived at the point where we know the solution to the problem is already unfolding or manifesting in our experience. We have the peace of mind because we know it, believe it, or feel it, that it's true. It is going to appear. But also that the resolution of our issue, the solution to our challenge, or the correct decision is forthcoming, and that it will be to the good of all involved, especially ourselves. So lastly, we can release our concerns or worry, knowing it is being taken care of. Now, this is the last step in our affirmative prayer treatment. We place it into the law, into the mind of God. We give it to the divine, however you want to name that. And we say, and so it is. So with that, let's just take a moment into prayer. We know that the divine source, God, Spirit, the universe plus is all there is. There's no place, no thing that is not of this source. And we know that we are at the center of source, just as source is at the center of us. This is just how it works. This is how it operates. But we also know that as humans, we face challenges from time to time, be they health challenges, financial challenges, housing challenges, indecision. Doesn't matter the nature of the challenges, because they're just mere fleeting in the eternity that we are part of. But we do know that it brings us comfort as we bring these challenges into prayer. Just command by our words. We affirm by our words that we know that this is unfolding in perfect divine order, that our challenges are resolved within spirit. There's nothing that is outside of God. We just let this flow into us. We feel that comfort, the comfort of knowing that everything is working in our favor. We're here to gain experience and become more glorious beings, more glorious expressions of who we really are. This is just the way it operates. Wherever our light is growing ever stronger, our love and compassion is continuing to increase. So we place these words into the law, as we say. We declare them for ourselves and for everyone else, those friends and family who are meeting these challenges, knowing that it is operating, being operated on, resolving right here, right now. Not a future, not a past, but this now instant is where everything is happening. So we give thanks for this understanding of how this works. We give thanks that we can bring ourselves to this point in our consciousness to allow this to operate in, through, and around us. And we release it knowing that it is already done. And so it is. It is. Thank you. Thank you. And Teresa, you're up.
So great. Such the message that I needed to hear today. Thank you so much. I never know really what I'm gonna say when I come here because I kind of want to take, my cue from you. So I think this song might be appropriate. It's called Such Fine Things. And I wrote it, when a friend of mine gave me a little bowl that he had created. He was a potter. It was a small little bowl, but it was just perfect. It was a perfect bowl. That it took 50 years of oh yeah. Don't we all? So this is an issue with everything. Anyway, this perfect little bowl, and he was such a wonderful artist that the bowl came out so beautifully. And I thought it probably took 50 years of throwing pots to be able to make this little bowl. And all the things that went into making this bowl and going through the fire. And I thought of you when you were talking about that the challenges we've had are what have honed us and made us, and what they are is when we go through these challenges, it makes us available for love and support for others. We have empathy, we have understanding, but we also grow in our spiritual affirming. So this song is about that. I thought it might work. Okay.
Thank you, Teresa. You're quite a storyteller too, and put a tune to it. That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. At this time, we would like to acknowledge and receive our virtual gifts and in-person gifts. We have a little basket at the entrance as you come in, that you can drop your offerings in. And we give thanks for all of these offerings that have already been given and that we will be receiving, because we know that giving and receiving are both a part of the flow. And we're a part of the flow too, aren't we? We bless these gifts and know they are multiplied throughout our community. And we'd like to thank a number of folks today that have made our gathering a pleasure, and for all of you that have contributed to make this service a blessing. We're grateful for your service. And I think, Dr. Edward, you wanted to share something right now.
As many of you know, last December, Judy went to have a medical situation taken care of, and she has been our admin for, gosh, a number of years. And so we were left looking for a substitute, if you will. And as Judy would say, no one could really replace me. But Brenda stepped in and basically filled the gap with doing the administrative stuff and so forth. And so we asked her if we could pay her, and she said, no, I don't want to be paid. We couldn't let that stand the way it was. So we decided, as the board decided, that we were going to give Brenda a gift certificate to her favorite restaurant, Andalays.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to walk this back to Brenda so she doesn't have to come all the way up here. However, thank you, Brenda, from the bottom of our heart, and Wellspring thanks you as well.
Okay, so if you would like to stand, we'll say our our benediction and sing our peace song. And we thank you, everyone, for being here today, and for those that have gathered with us on Zoom. And after the meeting, you can continue to be on Zoom and visit a bit. And those of you that are here, we're going to meet next door in the little fellowship hall. Okay. Spirit in the midst of us is mighty. Joy, peace, and eternal life are our true nature and flow through us into the world. And so it is.